Hi everyone, I've had a sudden desire come over me this evening to have a go at my first ever Zwift race, so let's give it a go. Hi everyone, my name's Andy and I've recently got back into cycling, having done very little of it for the last 3 years. I fired up Zwift again not long ago and I did an FTP ramp test a few weeks back. You can check out how I did here, but in essence my FTP that I got estimated at that day was 276 watts. I've never done a Zwift race before, so I'm going to give one a go today. I've got absolutely no idea what I'm in store for. I've done a bit of panic YouTubing this afternoon just to get a few last minute sort of hints and tips about what to expect. I'm expecting a fast start. I'm hoping that it'll ease off a little bit. Just a bit about what my setup looks like today. I'm sat on my bike, you see me set it up. I've got my table here in front of me. So I've got a Zwift running on my iPad. I've then got my phone with a Zwift companion app. A couple of drinks bottles. Been told I'm probably going to need more water than I expect, and then my trusty towel for when I'm a sweaty boy later. Also not got loads of faith in my iPad. It's quite old. It's got about 10% battery left. I've got it plugged in, but it's losing battery, so it's not a good sign. So the race category I've signed up for is based on the racer's score between 270 and 390. So this is completely new to me. But Zwift's telling me, I think all it's got to base it on is my FTP test I did a couple of weeks ago and a Zone 2 ride I did just before that. It's telling me my racer scores are about 315. I don't know if that's good or bad. You tell me. So yeah, my score is 315, so it's in the middle-ish of that 270 to 390 range, so probably not going to be the quickest here, but hopefully I won't be the slowest. So the race began and I was told to expect a fast start, but even with the warnings, I was still taken a bit by surprise. But after about a minute it settled down and I was able to sit nicely around 260, 270 watts near the front of the pack. We had 24 riders turn up in the end. We started out in a big bunch and it all stuck together whilst we were on the flat. Well, all of us apart from that one guy who decided to be a hero and went straight up the road on his own at the start, never to be seen again, by me at least.
Getting dropped to the climb.
When we hit the first climb, that's when the pack started to string out and I struggled to keep pace with the quickest riders. But when it settled down, I ended up forming a group with about 4 others. Between us we made 12th to 16th position in the race.
This is my race now. These guys.
Overall, this was a painful experience. I was trying to find a balance between conserving some energy whilst also trying to maintain my pride. Being in this group meant I was in with a chance of finishing dead middle of the 24-man pack if I could see off these other riders. We stuck together from the top of that first climb, and at about 2/3 of the way round, I was starting to think about strategy. Would I leave it to the sprint, or would I go for a Jens Voigt style solo break off the front? But before I could make a decision about what I was going to do, disaster struck.
Dead. iPod died. Whoa. What a letdown. Oh, till next time. What a shit show. Right, I'm back. I'm going to do it all again. I joked about the iPad being nearly dead. I didn't actually think it would die when being plugged into the actual mains electric, but we live and learn. We're at 100% today on the iPad. It's still plugged in as well for good measure, so not expecting any issues. I'm not going to give you the full pre-race spiel as I did the other day. It's the same setup as last week. The only difference is the different course. So we're doing the Zwift Racing Series in June, and it's moved from stage 2 to 3. The course is now the UCI Richmond World Circuit. It's probably going to suit me a bit better. It's 2 miles short, it's about 10.3 miles, and then half the climbing, I think only 500 feet of climbing. It's pretty flat for the first 8 or 9 miles, and then there's 3 hills at the end, 3 climbs at the end. So that might be what breaks it for me, but I'm going to give it my best shot. Got about 20 minutes until the start, just having a little bit of a warm-up spin on the legs. And then I'll head into the race lobby. Wish me luck. Okay, we're in the lobby now. We've got 33 riders in so far. Just gone up by an extra 4, so decent sized pack. Winning might be a challenge, but hopefully I'm not going to be the slowest here either. Off we go. The race got underway and I was a bit more prepared for the fast start this time round, but we were only up at 300 plus watts for around a minute before we settled into a steadier pace for the first half of the race. That first half of the race was flat and it was just about concentrating on staying in the pack. Nobody really broke away, nobody dropped off the back, but everybody knew that it was those 3 climbs at the end where the race was going to be won and lost. So it was just a case of staying with everyone else and drafting as much as I could. My heart rate stayed pretty consistent, but it was the heat that was making things uncomfortable. Chucking it down outside, but it's still so warm. I'm already sweating beads. Climbs ahead, 33rd is mine. I don't know about that, Jay Gifford. Now, I don't know if Jay Gifford's comment reminded people that this was actually a race, but not long after that, someone made a move off the front and it meant that everyone else had to speed up. It wasn't really what I wanted. I was hoping to conserve my energy until those climbs. My heart rate had picked up and I was starting to find it a bit tougher to stick with everybody else, even on the flat. I could see on the profile that there was a descent coming up and I was hoping that would give me a chance for a bit of a breather. But before I could get there, I had to put in this effort to stick with everybody. I made it back on and sure enough, I did get that bit of respite going downhill. I also picked up a feather somewhere along the route and I was starting to consider my strategy for the end of the race. I haven't really got a tactic, but I think I'm going to use my feather on the first climb and just see what happens. No point tactically waiting until the last one and already being miles off. As we approached the first climb, the pace slowed right down, but I couldn't get my heart rate back down. And then there it was. The first climb elevation came up on screen and I started to prepare myself. There it is. We started heading up. I stuck with the pack for the first little bit, but I waited until we got to that first steep bit on the profile before I hit the feather. Feather goes on. This was tough though. I was pushing 400 plus watts with my feather activated and still had people pulling away. The fact that I wasn't the only person who activated their power up here reassured me a little bit. It can't have been that bad of a tactic. But once I lost that boost from the feather, we made it towards the hairpin bends. I wasn't able to hang on to those at the front anymore. This is where I drop now. Oh, shit. I eventually came over the top in 18th place, fairly in the middle of the pack, but there was a sizable gap in front of me. I needed to ease off at the top to recover a bit when people came flying past me. There just wasn't much in me to react at that point. I needed to cool down. The second climb was a short, sharp one. I decided beforehand that I was going to get out of my saddle on this and see if I could power it up. I got to the bottom of the descent and people were still coming past me. I was hoping I hadn't blown myself up on that first climb. But the tactic to get out of my saddle was working. I moved away from the people around me and I gained on those in front. I couldn't sustain it for the full climb, but I still managed to keep going, and I made up a lot of that lost time. Under that archway, it gave me an aero boost which I hit straight away. I didn't want to drop off again like I did at the top of the last climb. The end was in sight now, and I decided to myself that the top 20 finish was the bare minimum from here. I was in 18th, but 21st place was just 4 seconds back. And when I got to the final climb, I got passed back into 20th spot, and I could see there were people close behind me. Started going back up. I had a couple of guys around me, but then
I've blown up. I've gone.
The two guys I was with started to pull away, and you can see the pain in my face. But as I went round this bend, I crunched down the gears, I couldn't hold the power anymore. But I was greeted by another rider in front of me who was struggling a bit more than I was, and that gave me a bit of a boost. He activated his feather and kept me at bay, but I tried to latch onto him, and in the process of doing that, I managed to pass another rider. I finally got past this guy at the top of the climb, but I could have done with it going on for another couple of hundred metres just to get a bit of a gap. I could feel him breathing down my neck, and I was worried that when I got to the flat I wasn't going to be able to keep the pace like I had on the top of the other climbs. No fibre in my being could summon enough energy for me to make that one final push for the line. He eventually made his way past me, but I'd had that 20 seconds of recovery by this point, and I found something in my legs to go again. As we were coming up to the line, I moved right up behind him, but just as I got close, he seemed to find an extra kick. I realised I just couldn't go anymore and stay with him. And with that, I settled for a 19th place finish. Top 20 like I promised myself, lower mid-table for the full race.
That's going to be slightly embarrassing to watch back on YouTube, I'll tell you that for free. Some immediate conclusions. I guess I wasn't really expecting anything more than this. My racer score is 315. I'm in the 270 to 390 range, so I guess by that logic I should be somewhere in the middle. Everyone in this race could have been ranked 270, in which case I should have beaten them all, but it's unlikely. No, I'm happy with that. It makes me question now how much I was in so much pain at the end. I don't know if that was just down to the fact that we had those 3 climbs, bang, bang, bang. But I'm just thinking, how would I have got on against those other 4 guys the other day? Would I have blown up then as well? We'll never know, but never mind, eh? Well, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun, but really hard. I'm not sure how people can sustain those longer races. I can only assume they're not quite as quick. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to see how I'm getting on and support. If you'd like to see a bit more from me, please do subscribe. Got a few outdoor events lined up over the next few weeks. Might sprinkle in a little bit more Zwift in there as well. We'll see how we get on, but please do stay tuned. See you on the next one.